Good afternoon, everyone. So good to see you here, and so happy to see a lot of wonderful conversations going on at your tables. And I really hope you're enjoying yourself and that you've had good panels this morning. I know I've heard a couple of really lovely discussions and have really enjoyed myself as well. So today I have the pleasure of introducing the introducer for our speaker today. So Terry Myers-Zawacki from George Mason University near Washington, D.C. In Virginia though, will be coming up here to the podium to join us to introduce our speaker today, Julia Chen. Terry.
Good afternoon. I've been telling everybody I'm not a Kathy Yancey that's so comfortable in front of large crowds. So I'm going to be like this with my notes. It is my great pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Julia Chen, our speaker today. Before I talk about Julia's many accomplishments, I want to go back to when I first met her at the 2014 IWAC conference in Minneapolis. At the time of IWAC 2014, Julia had just begun to introduce English across the curriculum, or EAC, a WAC adaptation of speaking and writing in English, as a community of practice in her institution, Hong Kong Polytechnic University. She was also in the process of inviting colleagues from 4 other Hong Kong universities to collaborate on an ambitious plan to try out EAC projects at their institutions. While Julia's main aim at the IWAC conference was to gather information for the group of 5 institutions developing the EAC initiative, she and a colleague were also presenting on their programmatic progress thus far. Julia's session caught my eye because I had been interested in cross-curricular efforts in China when I traveled there a few years before. I was so impressed by the program data that Julia presented and the momentum that the EAC consortium had already achieved that I stayed after the panel to ask questions about the initiative, but also about the Hong Kong trilingual context, linguistic context. Julia asked me questions too, and I shared with her insights about my years in the WAC community. That was the beginning of a productive academic exchange and a friendship that has been sustained over the years from her fact-finding trip to George Mason, among other U.S. institutions that same year, and later to my subsequent visits to Hong Kong. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Even though Julia was still in fact-finding mode in 2014 when I met her, collaborative planning was already underway for an international English across the curriculum conference to be held in 2015 and hosted by the interinstitutional team, which included the Chinese University of Hong Kong, represented at this and past conferences by Dr. Jill Slide, and aware of Joe's is somewhere here in this audience, and her team. And also the team includes Dr. Christy Chen, who's at City University right here, and her colleagues who presented this morning. And by the way, Dr. Lai and her team are presenting 2 poster sessions tomorrow morning, so you can see their posters now outside. And you can learn more about both Julia and Joseph's work in the WAC Journal, 2021 WAC Journal. But back to the 2015 EAC conference. The organizing team's goal for the conference, as Julia told me, was twofold. First, to spread the word about EAC in Hong Kong in order to gain visibility and more funding from their institutions and from the Hong Kong University Grants Committee, UGC. And second, to learn from well-known WAC and European CLIL scholars. And CLIL is Content and Language Integrated Learning, along with conference participants. It was my honor to be invited as a speaker at the inaugural conference. The conference, now biennial or triennial, actually has now grown, and it was offered in 2018 and virtually in 2021. The model of plenary speakers is still the same. It's a speaker from WAC, a speaker from CLEO, which is a dual influence on EAC, and a speaker from a discipline other than writing studies, who talks about teaching with writing in their courses. And that first year, it was a speaker from University of Missouri. It was chemistry, where Marty is, she could tell me. So the 2021 conference, which was virtual, drew 1,000 registrants from over 5 continents. And it was also an occasion to celebrate the peer-reviewed publication of English across the curriculum, Voices from Around the World, co-edited by Dr. Chen and featuring chapters from presenters at the 2018 conference. And you can find that volume in the International Exchanges on the Study of Writing on the WAC Clearinghouse. The EAC movement continues to grow and thrive. Although similar to US WAC, funding can always be precarious. That Julia, in collaboration with the consortium colleagues, continues to be awarded grants for their work speaks to her skill as a leader and to her ability to develop new and innovative EAC projects. In the past 2 years, a four-university EAC team has received the top honors in the Hong Kong UGC Teaching Awards, and internationally, a silver prize in the Hong Kong in the QS Reimagine Education Awards. And now the team is a finalist for the Times Higher Education Awards Asia 2023 in the category of Teaching and Learning Strategy of the Year. And that award will be announced June 21st, while Julia is still in the US. And I think if they win it, and my fingers are crossed, I think Christy Chan is going to pick it up. And that's Europe, London, somewhere. Anyway, you can see more about Julia's role at her university and her many accomplishments in the conference booklet. But I don't want to end this introduction without mentioning that Julia is also an accomplished opera singer, having sung at the Hong Kong Opera House, among other venues. Remembering Doug Hesse's singing as an opening to his 2005 Four Cs keynote talk, I tried to persuade Julia to give us a short sample from one of her favorite operas. But I think she's going to save her voice for the 3 large-scale concerts that she will be doing in the coming months. So, and now, let me introduce to you Dr. Julia Chen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Terry, for your kind introduction. And thank you very much to IWAC, to Cameron Krishna for the invitation to speak at IWAC, and to Terry for the recommendation. It's such an incredible and unbelievable honor, one that I would never have dreamed of. And I'd also like to say a big word of thanks to Sarah Cosley, who's over there, yay, who have been so helpful throughout the whole process. And thank you to the wonderful lady Marissa next to me as well for the translation. Thank you. It's really daunting speaking in front of this group. I mean, Terry said that I sing, so I'm usually not nervous speaking in front of a large group of people or singing in front of a large group of people. But speaking in front of this group is really, really daunting. As Doug said yesterday, you are the WAC founders, the giants, the trailblazers. You are the pioneers, the champions, the gurus, the experts. and we, and I mean, I'm here to share with you the tiny steps that we have been taking in Hong Kong when you have taken huge strides for decades and decades. So much to learn from you. And so thank you very, very much. Cameron asked me to say a bit about what we have been doing in Hong Kong in the English across the curriculum movement, and what we have learned from WAC, the challenges that we face, etc. So I will go ahead and do something like that, and I have the clicker here. Sorry, I should point. Oh, it's working good. Okay. Okay, thanks. Please allow me to first of all say a little bit about my current post before I go on to talk about English across the curriculum. So I'd like you to just maybe have an idea of the two hats that I wear. Right? So currently I am the director of the Educational Development Center in my university. And the Education Development Center is a central unit in my university. And we have 5 main areas of work, as you can see on the slide, which includes working with university management on developing and implementing learning and teaching related policies, promoting a culture of learning and teaching excellence, building capacity for our teaching staff via workshops and courses, promoting quality enhancement via an evidence-based approach, and supporting the university's initiatives related to the tertiary sector in Hong Kong. So I've been in this post for 7 years, and before this post, I was Associate Director of the English Language Center in my university, and that's how I got into English. That's why I'm involved in English across the curriculum. When I was Associate Director of the English Language Center, I was in charge of curriculum and quality assurance. And I led several large-scale revamp and review of curriculum. I guess that might be one of the reasons that the university asked me to take up my current post. Although I'm now considered as an administrative staff, or I insist that I still teach a bit, so that I have this experience at the front line, or from the front line, and that has been very useful, especially in the COVID days. Right? So you might have heard that in 2019 in Hong Kong we had social unrest, right? Months and months of what you experienced at Capitol Hill. Months and months and months and months, right? And my campus was on fire. So those of you who have been there, you may know. And I was teaching that semester, and we had to stop immediately. And that was very helpful because I know what my colleagues, my teaching colleagues, were going through, right? And when COVID struck, I was teaching, and I knew what my colleagues were going through, right? And when we had to do mandatory hybrid teaching, I was teaching that semester as well. So that's a bit of my background. Now, coming back to Hong Kong, can I just see a show of hands? How many of you have been there in Hong Kong? Okay, so Hong Kong, Hong Kong is an interesting city of opposites, I would say. It has the world's largest number of skyscrapers, and it has numerous small islands and lots of hiking trails. And I think last night, Laurie was just telling me that she came and did a lot of hiking, which is great. Hong Kong is the place for that. Geographically, it occupies a very small bit of land only. It is only around 426 square miles. Okay, very, very small. But 7.5 million people call it home. Okay, and because of that, it's a highly densely populated city. It has residential buildings like what you see here. And we have whole families squashed in tiny flats like this as well. So unfortunately, Hong Kong has the most expensive housing market in the world, and there's a huge discrepancy between the very rich and the poor. Hong Kong used to be a British colony, as you know, and before the sovereignty was returned to mainland China. So we have old buildings like this, and we have a lot of new ones too. And we are really beautiful at night. So if you like this kind of, scenery, you have to come. Now, what about the language use situation in Hong Kong? Hong Kong has a, oops, excuse me. Let me try and do it right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Hong Kong has a government policy of biliteracy and trilingualism, which means that Hong Kongers, like myself, are expected to be fluent in Cantonese, our local dialect, in English, and in Putonghua, the official dialect of mainland China. A government census conducted last year shows that although Hong Kong is an international, oops, I am very sorry, is an international city. Right, as you can see there, over 96% of the residents speak some form of Chinese as their mother tongue. I put together a chart that shows the language proficiency data of census surveys from 1996 to 2021, and you can see a huge difference, right? The first set of columns says that people think that they speak Chinese as their first language, and then English and Putonghua. And this shows that similar number of residents speak English and Putonghua as their second dialect or language. You may have heard that since the return of Hong Kong from Britain to China, there have been at least 2 policy changes. First, a year after the handover, 1/4 of English medium secondary schools switched to Chinese medium teaching in forms 1 to 3. Form 1 to 3 would be something like your years 7 to 9. And only slightly over 100 schools kept English as the medium of instruction. Okay. And as the medium for classroom interaction. Then the second major policy change came in 2012, when Hong Kong changed from a 7-year high school and a 3-year university system to a more American 6-year high school and 4-year university system. And together with that, the public exam system had to change as well. And we changed from 2 public exams before university entrance to 1 exam only. And that had an effect on the kind of students we have in university, of course. Now, turning to my university, Hong Kong Polytechnic University, has a very heavy research mandate. And that heavy mandate has seen us leap in the world university rankings from way outside of 100 to now well within the top 100 and continually moving up year after year. But as we know, when universities place a strong mandate on research, something else usually suffers. Right? Now here are our student numbers as of 2021 to 22. We have a large student body. Because of our location, we're right in the middle of downtown. So if you come to Hong Kong, please do look me up. We're just in the middle of downtown. Okay, you can go shopping the next minute after you say goodbye to me. So do come. Right. And it's highly accessible. Okay, now that's our staff numbers. In terms of medium of instruction, our university uses English. Right. Okay, it uses English as the medium of instruction, and so English is also the medium for assessment. And we stick very closely to this policy. Okay, so this is not just talk. And then we have 4-year system and 3 semesters per year. So altogether around 11 to 12 semesters in an undergraduate program. And of these 11 to 12 semesters, there are standalone English courses for around 3 semesters. Okay, so around 1/4 of the time that students have standalone English courses, not integrated English courses. These standalone English courses are like your Writing 101, I guess. Right? Okay. And they are offered by the English Language Center, which would be similar to your ESL unit or your ESL department, I guess. Right? And 2 of these courses are on generic academic English, whereas the third one is on more disciplinary related academic English. In Hong Kong, we call them, or in TESOL language, we call them EGAP, English for general academic purposes, and English for specific academic purposes. And then on top of that, we have something that is similar to a writing intensive course in one of our general education courses. And that requires students to submit 2 compulsory drafts, but no compulsory consultations. And there are plans undergoing currently for some changes to that. And the English Language Center has been offering for decades now something called Writing Assistance Program, which is similar to your Writing Center. And that has gone very, very well. But despite all these provisions, we observed that the language training that students have now is inadequate, and that sadly, students don't really transfer what they learn from English teachers when they take other courses. And yesterday I was at an MIT session presentation, and I heard Eric use the word anathema. I think he used that word, yeah. And that word reminds me that a lot of our students actually hates English, especially our engineering students, because their engineering, their physics grades very, very high, math grade very high. But they got into our university because their English grade was not good enough to get into the top university. So to them, English is anathema. And so we have this kind of background, okay? And it is against this kind of background that WAC developed in Hong Kong. So let me say a little bit about the history of WAC in Hong Kong. The first time that we had WAC in Hong Kong, I think it would be the mid-2000s at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. And it was led by George Brain. You might have read Brain and his articles. And there were even fewer standalone English courses at this time when compared to now. Unfortunately, that WAC initiative did not continue after Brain left the university. And then several years later, in the early 2010s, an English professor in my university took up a project to do WAC, but she did it only for 2 years and did not want to continue beyond the project period. Now, I wasn't involved in that round at all because I was very busy doing these, okay? I was heavily involved in curriculum development at that time, okay? I was leading the development and review of discipline-related standalone English courses of many, many different teams, okay? And then I was also leading the changes from 3-year curriculum to 4-year curriculum, right? So we were writing new courses for degree and diploma students and core subjects and electives and all that kind of thing. So how did the current EAC movement come about? We are very thankful, like what Terry said just now. The government started a community of practice seed fund. Okay, they realized that around the world, people are doing communities of practice, but not in Hong Kong. So they set up seed funds, and they told all universities to do some sort of COPs, communities of practice. And our vice president of academic development at that time came to me and said, Julia, your courses, you have started your 4-year curriculum courses. You should have some space now. Why don't you do, why don't you take up one of the COPs and do it in whatever you like, as long as whatever you do is outside of the regular courses, the regular English courses. So I said, okay, sure, why not? I'll do English across the curriculum. So that's how I started English across the curriculum. And what I decided to do was to make a video. That was me many years ago. Oh, that was me exactly 10 years ago. Look how much I have aged. 10 years ago was that, okay? 10 years later is this. Okay. But this is the 10th anniversary of this new EAC in Hong Kong. But anyway, I was saying that I decided to do a video, you know, and encourage people to join me because I need a team, right? I needed to build a community. So that was how we did it. And I thought that the COP would be a great place to start EAC again, because as I said, we need staff buy-in, right? All that kind of things that you know very well. So we did our COP for two purposes. We would want to offer workshops and sharing sessions on how faculty can improve their own English for work and study purposes. And secondly, of course, to explore ways to help their students pay more attention to English. So what do we do in EAC? Okay, so we learned from WAC and we realized that we need faculty to come on board and work closely with English teachers. So 2 aspects. The first one is to enhance faculty's EAC awareness and to support students' learning. We consulted literature. We read the 8 principles of the writing fellows program at Brown University. And we hope to aim at these two. Okay, we looked at them and said, oh, these two, maybe we can aim at these to change both student and faculty attitudes toward writing and to make writing an integral part of the curriculum and not just a feature of isolated courses, right? We try to get faculty buy-in by offering a lot of workshops on how they could develop their own English abilities, on how they can discuss their students' English needs, and encouraging them to rethink their assessments and rubrics, because our students are highly pragmatic, okay? And then we look at how we can co-design some resources or tips for students. We appeal to faculty by telling them that when their students write better, it should take less time for them to do the marking. And then it becomes a win-win situation, right? Yeah, because a lot of our students cannot write very well. In high school, they only need to write up to 300 words. Okay, they need to write 2 compositions, they call compositions, one 200 words and the other 300 words, and that's it. So they do not really write 500 words, they only write 300. And then they come into university and they get 1,000-word essay, right? 2,000-word proposal assignments, that kind of thing, okay? So that's why a lot of us really have to tear our hair out when we mark student assignments, okay? Now, let me see if I can. Right, so here are some photos of what we do. We do open to all workshops, and then we break them down into smaller groups, and we try to find topics that would attract them. So a lot of them would come, you know, and then we try to tell them what we are trying to do and lure them in, right? And as you can see, we try to do what Mullen wrote, that faculty come to an awareness that each discipline has its own genres and conventions of constructing and presenting knowledge. And we try to do what Hammerflash wrote, that the faculty themselves are best positioned to teach the students how to present disciplinary content in writing and speaking, because we tell them, after all, you are the people who published in your own fields and not us. And having persuaded faculty to join us, then the next step was to meet them in their offices, like this, right? And then we discuss things in detail. And we follow WAP literature, as you can see. Okay, on how they would want their students to be able to write and present in their assessments, what they would consider as good responses, and to establish some shared goals with them in our EAC partnership. And then we put together tailored EAC handouts for their students according to their assessments. Okay, everything we do related to an assessment or more. Okay, always related to assessments, because as I said, Hong Kong students are very pragmatic. If you tell them, learn this is good for you, but this has nothing to do with assessments, they will not pay attention. So you have to tell them that pay attention because this is related to an assessment that carries a lot of weighting, and then they will open their eyes and open their ears. Okay. We would very much like to focus on higher order concerns, but seeing students make very frequent and intrusive language mistakes, we try to address fossilized grammatical and lexical forms as well. So what do we do? Let me see. Oh yeah, okay. So we give them timely and tailored provision and handouts like this. And we also give them checklists that they could use before they submit their assessment, okay? And they like that because they think that these can help them get a higher grade. Yeah. And later on, I'll be telling you more about what we have been doing. We're trying to also offer ubiquitous support via a mobile app that's called Capstone Ninja. Okay. Okay. Now, so we developed a number of guides with the faculty to match their assessment requirement. And here are just 3 examples. Okay, and they tell us where they think their students are weak at. We ask them for previous samples of student assignments, and we go back and we do genre analysis and error analysis and textual analysis. And then we come up with all these guides for students. We also try to, whenever possible, offer 15-minute in-class briefings to students if the faculty allows us into their classrooms. A lot of faculty do not allow us in their classrooms. Okay, we tell them these briefings are very short, but they are very useful because we can go in and tell your students how our guides, our EAC guides, align with your assessments. And many of the teachers said, I can do that. You don't have to come in. Okay, that's fine, as long as you really do that, but there's no knowing. Okay. So whenever we can, we go in, and you can see that these are some of the pictures, sometimes in very large classrooms like this. Okay, so now a very key stage of EAC development is definitely learning from WAC, from reading what many of you have written and so generously shared with us, and from meeting you in person like this, and from learning from your talks. Now, as Terry said, I came to the 2014 IWAC conference, and that was held in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. And we, together with a colleague from my university's community college, we did a presentation together on how we were starting to rekindle WAC in Hong Kong. And that was a very important IWAC for me, of course, because that was where I met Terry and where I met Marty. Right? And I went to their session on WAC in China, and they came, as Terry said, to our session on Hong Kong. And since then, they have been my kindest and most generous mentors. Thank you. Then I came again with Joe's to the 2016 IWAC at Ann Arbor. That's how you pronounce it, right? Yeah. And we went to sessions given by big names that I had read and tried to soak in as much as I could, but I was too shy to go up to even say hello because you are gurus, right? So I thought, so this is Kathleen Yancey. Oh, yes. Oh, this is Chris Tice. Yeah. Oh, this is yes, okay, that kind of thing. But I was too shy to even go up to introduce myself. Anyway, but back home, I introduced IWAC to my colleagues. So in 2018, more of us came to IWAC. And that year, we presented our initial ideas of creating a mobile app. And then, of course, COVID prevented IWAC 2020 from taking place as scheduled, but it didn't dampen our enthusiasm to learn from and to participate in IWAC 2021. So Marty and Terry led a panel with Joes and me about adapting WAC for Hong Kong. My EAC team presented data from our EAC app project, and I introduced IWAC to some of my contacts in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in Japan, in South Korea. And together we formed a panel and we presented where we are in terms of WAC in our own respective university or country. And that was 2 years ago. And not only did I learn from IWAC, I also got a scholarship from our university to make a 2-week trip to 5 universities in the States in November 2014. And the first stop was, of course, George Mason University. And I met Terry again, and then Michelle France, I remember. And Nicole Sili, Karen Matler, definitely, and Anna Habib. Yeah. And I think that's Steve Copley in the picture, I think. And then I visited Megan, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Sitchek at George Washington University, and Angela Dadak at American University, before visiting Marty at the University of Missouri in Columbia, where I met the absolutely wonderful Amy Lennon and the chemistry professor, Rainer Glasser. At the final stop of that trip was Stanford, where I first visited Julia Blickney at the Hume Center, and then I spent time catching up with a colleague called Dan Flickinger at the Center for the Study of Language and Information, whom I'm currently doing a project together with. Now, another milestone in the EAC journey was getting what Terry said just now, a big government grant in 2013. When the government announced they had having a special inter-institutional learning and teaching grant, my associate vice president at that time encouraged me to spread what I have been doing in COP to other universities. So I reached out to people from other universities, including Joe's and other people, and we formed a 4-university team, and we submitted, as you can see, a 4-university team, and we submitted a proposal, and we got the grant. And that was how we started to do EAC, not just in my university, but in 3 other universities. And that was really good. I'm so glad that Chinese U is on board, because as I said just now, actually Chinese U started doing WAC first, but they just didn't sustain after their staff left. And then we decided to do a local symposium as the first thing, so that we would officially announce to our local teachers in Hong Kong that we are starting EAC, and we invite them to join us. We had guest speakers from overseas and from local universities, and I remember Joe's actually asked me to do an opening at the symposium because her vice provost from Chinese U was going to be there, and she wanted me to persuade her provost that Chinese U should financially support EAC. So we did that, and Joe's vice provost was convinced, and since then, her vice provost has been giving financial support to EAC in different forms in that university. So how good is that, right? And then the following year, as Terry said, we had our first International English Across the Curriculum Conference in December 2015. And I invited 3 keynote speakers, 2 of whom from writing studies. One is Terry. Thank you, Terry. And the other was Ursula Wingate from the UK, as we want to know how they are doing things in Europe. And I invited Rainer Glasser, a chemistry professor from Missouri, to be the discipline keynote speaker, so that he could convince our discipline teachers that EAC is worth doing. He was very good. It was wonderful. Now, you may recognize some familiar faces here. I would especially like to thank WAC Clearinghouse for sponsoring our fruit table. So Mike, thank you very much. I'm always grateful to the support that you gave us and has been giving us since. It was also a very good chance actually for us to introduce WAC Clearinghouse to the conference participants. As EAC was and still is not in the mainstream in Hong Kong, we need to keep bidding project funding to keep EAC going. Okay, we don't get central funding. So fortunately, we managed to get a grant from our university in 2016 that allowed us to continue to hire our project associate, which we badly needed because we do not have graduate students who can act as WAC tutors. Okay, so we badly need project staff. Okay, and we need these extra hands. And the internal grant from my university also meant that the PolyU team was in a financially viable position to organize the second International English Across the Curriculum Conference. And this time we invited Mike Palmquist as a keynote speaker, as well as, I don't know whether you know, Christiane Dalton-Puffer of the University of Vienna, and Angel Lin from Hong Kong U, and Simon Fraser, so that they could talk about CLIL, content and language integrated curriculum learning. And we continue to have a keynote speaker from the disciplines. And in 2018, we had Samuel Hazichny from the University of New Hampshire. And that year, Terry and Marty came to help us with our pre-conference workshops. And we did a panel discussion together with Mike. And here are some pictures taken at that conference. And we're very glad that a number of you from the States came, like Rebecca Burnett, Catherine Mallet was there, and Chris Anson was there. And again, WAC Clearinghouse sponsored our fruit table. Thank you very much. And your support warms our heart, and everybody loved fruit, you know, so wonderful. Please keep them going. Okay, coming. Yes, thank you. These EAC conferences were a great chance for us to learn about WAC. And it was a very good chance for us to introduce WAC and EAC to other people in Hong Kong and Asia. To many of them, language teaching is done simply via standalone English courses given by English teachers without any integration with disciplines. So WAC is a new concept to many of us in our part of the world. And that year, in 2018, I started to think about the possibility of establishing an EAC network in Asia Pacific to maybe connect people interested in starting or implementing EAC in their universities. Now, another milestone, I would say, for EAC was getting a second, an even larger government grant. And this time we formed a 5-university team. And we successfully got a grant to develop an EAC mobile app. Okay, so you may ask, why mobile app? Can we use a mobile app to help people learn how to write? Okay, what could an app possibly do? Now, what we wanted to do was we really wanted to integrate technology with EAC, like the quote from Rees and Young that you see here. Mobile app was becoming a fashion at that time. Okay, that was 2016, 2017, and we wanted to reach students in this way. Not all students would like it, but some would. Okay, and if anyone would like that, then it would be worth our while to try it out and reach them. Our final year students had to do a capstone project for graduation, but they find it very hard, cognitively and linguistically, very, very challenging. So we decided to put tailored EAC learning modules on an app to reach our students as they were spending so much time every day on their mobile phone. Right? So our app is called Capstone Ninja, and the person who gave it the name is seated right at the back there. Carmen, thank you very much. It has three main features. The first one, it is a learning tool. We offer discipline-focused learning materials. And what that meant was this. Let's say engineering students from the first university log on. The system would know that they are engineering students from that university, and the app will push relevant materials to them. Okay, and then let's say nursing students from another university log on, and the app will push nursing-related materials to those students. And then if business students from another university log on, then the app would push just business-related materials to those students. So that's what we mean by tailor-made materials on the app, okay? And technology allows us to do that. And students appreciate that because they don't want to see materials that are not relevant to them. Okay. And so these are some of the screenshots of our mobile app. This is how the learning modules are displayed. And we have a student version first, and then we also did a supervisor version so that the supervisors can see what students see, okay? And we have a scheduler, which the department, the supervisor, and the student can all use. And we also have something that took us very long to develop, a text-based chat, which allows one-to-one chat and one-to-group chat to enable interaction in a form other than face-to-face or email, and so that all kinds of communication can stay within the app. They don't have to go out of the app to use another app for their communication. And one big advantage of using our app is students like it because they do not have to disclose their mobile number. Many of our students don't want the teacher to have their mobile number, and many of our teachers don't want students to have their mobile numbers, right? Okay, so by using our chat, they don't need to disclose their cell phone numbers, which is very good. Okay, now we made some videos about our app and EAC, including supervisors giving tips and students giving testimonies, and they are available on YouTube. And we are very glad that when some universities in Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong, and mainland China heard about our app, they asked to use them. Most of them, though, found our modules a bit too difficult for them. So one of the possibilities is that we can go and pitch at the postgraduate level at some of these universities. Now, the 5 university grant allowed us to host a 3rd international EAC conference in 2021. And due to COVID, we eventually did the conference fully online with 2 keynote speakers, Do Call and Oliver Meyer. You may have heard of their names. And we had wonderful response to our calls for proposal and for registration. Terry mentioned that just now. We had over 1,000 registrants from 48 countries on 6 continents. The only continent we did not have any registrants, attendees from, is Antarctica. We didn't really expect them from Antarctica anyway. And I would like to say a big word of thanks to USA because there was a considerable turnout from USA at our conference. And as Terry mentioned, another key phase of our EAC journey is our first EAC book published by none other than the WAC Clearinghouse. Thank you. And Joe Mullen and Terry Zawacki were the series editors. And Terry worked a lot with us on the conceptualization stage, and Joan helped us a lot with the editing of the chapters and with very, very helpful feedback. So thank you, both of you. And of course, thank you, Mike. The book is available, as Terry said, on the WAC Clearinghouse website. So please have a read and find out more about what we're doing in our part of the world. We are learning to share our work via publications and talks in Hong Kong and elsewhere in the world. We need to learn to do more of that, okay? So our latest publication is actually on a project, a new project that involves AI and human intelligence, which I will say more later on. Last year, 2022, was our awards year. We first received, like what Terry said, a highly coveted award given by the Hong Kong Government's University Grants Committee. The international panel appreciates how EAC has grown to become an interdisciplinary and interinstitutional collaboration. And then last year in December, we received the Silver Award in the International Quacquarelli Simons QS Reimagine Education Awards in the category of Breakthrough Technology Innovation in Education. We are very thankful indeed. You may be familiar with the QS Reimagine Awards. As every other year or so, they actually hold their award ceremony in the States. They call themselves the Oscars of education. right? And then the higher education, the THE, Times Higher Education, they call themselves the Oscars of higher education. So both of them are Oscars. Now, a future possibility that the awards team has been asked to take up is to run an inter-institutional community of practice on EAC by the Hong Kong Teaching Excellence Alliance. So let's see how that pans out. Okay. At IWAC sessions, I hear the challenges faced by different units in various institutions, and I would like to share some of the challenges too, and I want to pair them with sustainability. And first of all, I'd like to thank Jeff Gillen, Michelle Crow, and Dan Melzer for your book on sustaining WAC. My EAC team that did a presentation led by Christy just now, they also quoted the different systems in Jeff's sustainability mapping diagram, and we find your website, oh, so very helpful. Thank you very much. Very, very helpful. Thank you. Each of us have our own pain points, and here EAC definitely has its share, one of which is funding uncertainty, right? Even though we have some results to show people, we still have to keep looking for funding. There's no central funding. And we need to get money to keep us going. And grants require us to show our worth. And very often they ask us for something new. We cannot just, they wouldn't give us money to continue doing the same thing, even if that same thing is worth continuing doing. Right? So what that means is we have to keep demonstrating our impact and keep innovating. But looking at it in a very positive way means, what I wrote there, that there's no time for complacency. We have to move forward all the time. We have to innovate all the time. We have to come up with new things all the time. Otherwise, we don't get the next tranche of funding. Right? So at the time of doing this slide, I could think of 18 EAC grants that we have got to keep us going. But actually, now I can think of 19. So some of these grants are small, some are bigger, and some are led by disciplined faculty who we approached to do EAC with. And after doing EAC with us, they went on to get some of their own funding so that they could continue EAC in their own courses. That's really good. And of course, some are led by English teachers, like the EAC awards team. A challenge for us is to keep demonstrating impact via different measures, one of which is our reach, such as the number of staff, courses, and students engaged with EAC. Now, this is not difficult. The number of departments and the types of genres supported, that is not too difficult either. But we also may need to demonstrate our reach beyond the universities involved on the projects. Within Hong Kong, we have reached vocational institutions. And 2 weeks before I came on this trip, actually a secondary school approached me, asking to see our app and whether we can actually make some learning modules tailored for their students in their school. That is doable. So after I go back to Hong Kong, we'll be discussing again. They would like me to go and do some staff development. That is definitely doable too. So maybe eventually we can think of, we can see whether we can come up with some business model to do these things with secondary schools. And there are numerous opportunities in Asia. Sorry, as I was saying just now, WAC is a new idea to many people in Asia. And to them, English teaching or English learning is simply by standalone English courses. So lots of opportunities. And so let's see what we can do. And we want to keep getting the chance to tell them how valuable WAC or EAC and EAC is. Now, we are thinking of doing the next EAC conference in December 2024. Those are the dates. And actually, the idea of co-organizing IWAC and EAC has been playing on my mind. 2 days ago, I shared with Terry and Marty and Vicky that maybe we can, co-organize a joint conference together. The next one for EAC is preferably 2024, and I know the next one for IWAC is 2025. And yesterday morning at the opening, Karen was asking people whether there are people interested in hosting the 2025. So I don't know, maybe we could do something like that. What I wrote at the very bottom there. Could we maybe, do the last 2 days in 2024 and then the first 2 days in 2025, and then everybody can come and spend New Year and celebrate New Year in Hong Kong. I mean, I don't know, that is a dream, but maybe if that is doable at all, maybe I can talk to AWAC or IWAC and bring everybody into Hong Kong, and do some shopping and eating and everything, I remember the pictures I showed you, right? We can do hiking and everything. So I'd like to go on and say that, how much time do I have? Sorry, not much time, right? Okay, to demonstrate impact, one of the things we need to do is gather data. Okay, for two purposes. One is to demonstrate impact. The other is to make evidence-based improvement, because we want to do that too. Okay? And that's my Director of Education Development hat on. In our EAC projects, especially those done in my university, my partner, Dr. Grace Lim, and I have always engaged external assessors. Okay, and we give student performances to the external assessors blind. We ask them to grade and evaluate those performances so that we can know whether there's been any improvement in student performances after EAC intervention, right? And that's how we gather some data. And another way of gathering data, of course, is via surveys, and we're very pleased that feedback from students and teachers are largely positive. And if possible, we can use learning and analytics to triangulate qualitative data. And that's something that I have been engaged in quite a lot in the past few years. And of course, one way to demonstrate impact is via awards. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank AWAC for their award in 2021. Thank you. Another challenge is that EAC, like WAC, is content specific. And so we want to meet students where they are. As I said, not everybody likes an app. Okay, some people think that that is too naive, that is too childish, right? For some students, this is the way to reach them, as I said. Okay, so we try to do different things to reach students as much as we can. I'll skip a few things. This is on how to get staff. Okay, because we need staff on board. Another way to get staff on board is to do publications together. Right? And you can see here, the first one is discipline teacher, faculty doing her own publication. The other three are pairs of English teacher plus discipline faculty, and they co-publish together, and that's very good. Okay, and then this is the latest one that we have been publishing with electronic engineering. And last year, I was invited to go and give a keynote at the National University of Singapore, and I talked about VUCA. And one of the things I said was, it seems that students, our future graduates, will be changing jobs more frequently than we do. And how does that impact English language teaching or WAC or EAC? That definitely impacts us. Because when they change jobs, they may not change into this in the same field. They may actually change fields. So what does that mean about the English that we teach them, about the communication skills that they learn from us? That has some impact. I'd like to just maybe go a bit faster because I really want to talk about something else. And that is, we have some other projects going on, one of which is a project on new genres, because our students are not just the next generation or the current generation, right? They do not only do writing, text-based writing, they do a lot of different things. Okay, as you know, as you can see here, some journals are asking for visual abstracts, and our students do blogs where there is a combination of genres and they all fit together, right? And so we feel that my award team feel that this is an area that we can go into and that we should go into. Have a project with electronic engineering people on an AI platform, because their students do a lot of presentations. But the teachers have very large classes and they don't want to spend time focusing on students' delivery problems or communication problems. So they are working with us on making a platform where we can give students some AI feedback. It's not working out very well yet. We still have a long way to go, but yeah, hopefully we can get somewhere. And there is a soon to start project as well, as you can see here. And that is called rubrics-driven teaching and learning enhancement using hybrid intelligence. And by hybrid intelligence, we mean artificial and human intelligences. And here I have two hats on, my education development hat on and my EAC hat on. In my education development role, I hope that faculty will not just do holistic marking, but component marking with relevant assessment criteria and descriptors. And in my EAC role, I would hope to give students something that appeals to their pragmatic nature and helps them improve their communication skills in specific aspects. I have an ongoing project called WeCheck, and I've signed a memorandum of understanding with Stanford and a Beijing company. We have done corpus linguistics. We have various corpora that we have been building in my university, and we're developing an online language checking platform called WeCheck, which is similar to Grammarly, and you may have heard or used Grammarly. And but our focus is on academic registers and target Chinese learners of English, as our corpuses show common problems exhibited in Chinese writers' English. And I'm very pleased to report that our accuracy rate is on par with Grammarly. And we are doing more tests and running some more pilot this summer. And when that is ready, I'll let you know, because you have, I think, a lot of Chinese students in your universities as well. And in the last few months, I'll just say very quickly, generative AI has taken the world by storm. My center is the first center among those in Hong Kong government-funded universities to offer a staff development workshop on ChatGPT and generative AI. More than 600 staff joined us, and my purpose was clear. I told them that many students already knew about it, so I need to bring teachers in the know. And then we did a session in which all the speakers were students, and they shared either in person or anonymously in voice disguised videos, how they have been using generative AI tools, okay, and how they have been lying about that. Okay? That's why they need to, have their face and voice disguised. And by now, we have also done a number of other seminars and workshops, and my university president has made it clear that our learning, teaching, and assessment should be generative AI ready, whatever that means, by this September. So we are looking at how to redesign assessments so that they cannot be done by generative AI. So we have set up a web page on Gen AI, and my center has also set up a Gen AI playground where staff and students can come and try out different Gen AI tools, okay, especially those that require a subscription, okay. On my mind, of course, the question is, how will Gen AI affect WAC or EAC? Now, I've been discussing with faculty from different disciplines on redesigning their assessment. One humanities teacher tells me that he's going to be adding in the phrase that you can see there, you must draw on theories from the course literature and the discussions we have in class to support your argument. And I see that is where EAC can come in, how students refer to and reflect on classroom discussions to support or defend their argument or to critique arguments. I've also taken the opportunity to encourage what we call student-staff partnership. As students, I feel, can be pretty good pedagogic partners. I worked with a teacher-student pair in our building engineering department on revising an assessment that this student did 2 years ago with this teacher. And I encouraged this student-teacher pair to redesign the assessment in such a way that requires students to do 2 things. Number one, they need to apply the theories and the knowledge in an actual situation, okay, that ChatGPT cannot do for them. And they need to go to that location and take a video on site, recording their explanations and showing their understandings of what they have learned in class. Okay, and again, that GPT cannot do for them. In the end, the teacher-student pair decided that students will be asked to apply their knowledge about plumbing. Again, this is a building engineering course. Okay, so one of the first courses was on plumbing. And they need to critique their own flats, their own houses of plumbing situation, okay? And they feel that that's something ChatGPT cannot do for them, and that requires students to actually apply what they have learned from the teacher. And the assessment submission should go beyond text to a combination of text and video, as you can see there, photos and audio podcasts. So again, ChatGPT cannot do it for them. They'll also ask students to do a mini defense rather than just oral presentations on their findings and conclusions. And these remind me of what Mike said in his keynote at the EAC conference in 2018. And you talked about writing to engage. And I read up your other publications on the same topic, and I see that the authentic learning situations that we have here, that in this assessment that the teacher will be using this September, aligns actually very well with your ideas of writing to engage. And there are rich opportunities for EAC integration here. Okay, so I see ChatGPT as a big opportunity for EAC development, further development of EAC in Hong Kong and in other parts of the world. Okay, and of course, together with the change of assessment tasks and foci is the change of assessment rubrics, criteria and descriptors. And this is another idea that EAC has worked with faculty and things that we can do in the future. This very quickly, I just want to say that I came across this very recently. In fact, I came across this from my husband, who's seated here. My husband is in academia as well. And about this grounded cognition. I don't know whether you have heard about this, or 4E cognition. And it goes very well with new genres and multimodal assessment. I have included a reference to an interesting and comprehensive article on this slide, should you be interested. And I'm definitely going to explore this a bit more and maybe invite more speakers to come to my university to talk about this kind of grounded cognition. Now, I must thank Marty for giving me a copy of her vulnerability article very early on in my EAC journey. Thank you. And that has started me thinking about risk management. So every year, we do risk management like this. We look at current risk, existing risk, and emerging risks. So thank you very much. And I better go faster. And this article gave me goosebumps. This article, the author says, by looking at history, there should be another seriously disruptive outbreak in 2020, which is now, or in 2024. Okay, touch wood, there won't be any. But as a sort of response, what I did was I had meetings with my vice president of education, and we decided that we will be developing an academic continuity plan at an institution level for governance purposes. Of course, in my mind, the thing is whether we should be doing something similar for WAC to make sure that whatever happens, WAC EAC can continue, despite whatever disruptions that happen. Now, these are some photos of the disruptions that we had in 2019 in Hong Kong in my university. Those of you who have been to my university, you may remember the stairway, this big step of flights where we took group pictures. This was completely destroyed in the fire. So that's why I'm talking to my university about continuity plan and all that kind of thing. Which I will not go into detail here. In closing, I just want to say that there is a poem that I taught years ago about living in the interstices. Harry taught me to look for affordances. Thank you. And indeed, I have found affordances even in interstitial space. And indeed, affordance leads to affordance. So when it gets really difficult, I think our resilience nature kicks in, and we remind ourselves not to forget why we embarked on the journey. In Chinese, we have those 4 words. Literally translate into don't forget your original heart. So I wish everyone here a fantastic and brilliant WAC journey that delights your hearts and delights the hearts of all your collaborators. And may I also take this chance to thank all the mentors, my teachers, and the teachers who work with me, the educational technologists who work with me, the project staff and the students who have worked on our wonderful EAC journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia. We really, really appreciated that. That was lovely discussion. We enjoyed being on your journey with you as you took us through it. Thank you so much for that. And so before we let you out of the room, we are going to have the next round of awards. And if Mike Palmquist is here and Doug Hess, is there anybody else? And Blakesley will be here to do our next round of awards. So Mike, thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're very pleased to be back to present the second set of awards this afternoon, which this has been, again, a collaboration between AWAC and the WAC Clearinghouse. And today's celebration focuses on our Achievement Award winners. So I'd like to call up Elisa Russell to announce our Early Career Contributions Award winner.
Hello. So the Early Career Contributions Award recognizes early career scholars who have made significant contributions to the field of WAC through scholarship, service, and/or innovative program administration during the first 9 years of their academic career. So this year's award goes to someone who is more than outstanding. Through her leadership roles with the WAC Clearinghouse and AWAC, this awardee has taken the lead in launching new programs that have already having this huge positive impact on the field. As associate publisher for resources for the WAC Clearinghouse, this person took the lead in creating and launching the Exemplary WAC Program Awards, a collaboration between the WAC Clearinghouse and AWAC. In her role as associate publisher for resources, she also launched a new journal, the WAC Repository, which you all need to check out on the Clearinghouse, a digital collection of peer-reviewed articles and curated collections of materials related to WAC admin and pedagogy. This person also took the lead. You're seeing something kind of a commonality here. On two innovative WAC Clearinghouse projects, the Coronavirus Stories Archive and the Dartmouth 66 Seminar Exhibit. She served as the co-host for the 2022 WAC Summer Institute and has published in a range of our journals. At the University of Georgia, she's launched an undergraduate student writing journal, a program that invites professionals as guest speakers to writing intensive courses, writing retreats and support programs for faculty and students, and an annual campus-wide event with panels, exhibits, showcases, and a nationally renowned guest speaker. Her work has been praised as, quote, dynamic, a much-needed community member, and an innovative and collaborative leader. Please applaud and join me in celebrating our early career contributions winner, Lindsay Harding.
My workout going up and down the stairs. This is great. So thanks, Lisa, and congratulations, Lindsay. That's really a well-deserved award. You've done amazing work. Next, we'd like to invite Sherry Craig to come forward and announce the winner of our award for outstanding contributions to diversity, equity, and inclusion.
So the award for, the award for outstanding contributions to DEI and WAC recognizes scholars who have promoted diversity and inclusion in the field of WAC, their scholarship, service, or innovative program administration. This award is dedicated to WAC scholars and practitioners who have made significant efforts in their teaching, research, and service to promote and to extend our field. As the co-chairs of the Diversity and Equity and Inclusion Committee for AWAC, Drs. Kim and Drs. McClary have guided the organization through being more equitable in their practices and policies for the last 3 years. As WAC administrators and practitioners, these scholars have made impressive contributions to increasing the presence of DEI at their home institutions and communities as well. Additionally, their cross-disciplinary, cross-institutional collaboration represents the best of the affordances in WAC research, teaching, and service. This year's award goes to Dr. Swan Kim and Dr. Lakeisha McClary for their leadership in the DEI. I always say DEI even when it says diversity, equity, inclusion, initiatives. These recipients were unable to attend IWAC this year, but please share a brief round of applause to celebrate their noteworthy contributions.
Thank you, Sherry. Next, we would like to announce the recipients of the Distinguished Fellows Award, and Pamela Flash will announce our newest fellows.
The Distinguished Fellows Award recognizes distinguished scholars who have made significant contributions to the field of WAC scholarship for many years. The committee and I looked specifically at 3 criteria: their scholarship, service, and innovative programming, their influence on WAC scholarship and programming beyond their home institution, and the sustained transformational influence they've had on the field. We were able to select 7 fellows, and you'll find the Distinguished Fellows full nominations on the WAC Clearinghouse site as of an hour ago, according to Mike. We're proud to award this award to several international scholars who are unable to be with us, understandably, today. They include Dr. Lisa Ganopsik-Williams from Coventry University and Dr. Otto Cruz from Zurich University of Applied Sciences. We also have some US fellows who regrettably are unable to attend IWAC this year, but they're familiar names. I think you can envision them. They include Dr. Margot Sobin from LaSalle University, Dr. Toby Fulweiler from the University of Vermont, and Dr. Ann Ruggles-Gare from the University of Michigan. We do have 2 distinguished fellows in the room, so I'd like to present them with their awards in person. First, we have Dr. Mike Carter, Professor Emeritus at North Carolina State University, who has had transformational influence on the ways that writing and oral communication are taught in and across disciplines. His thoughtful consideration of interdisciplinary writing and writing instruction has yielded broadly distributed resources like LabWrite, an online resource for students and instructors in lab courses, and his generous and facilitative approach to helping instructors within academic departments uncover, understand, and challenge attributes of writing and writing instruction in their various disciplines has proven foundational to WAC consultants internationally, and on a personal note, was hugely instrumental to me in my development of the WAC model at Minnesota. So congratulations to Mike. I have one more. And secondly, we have Tian Donahue, professor at Dartmouth University. This fellowship is awarded to Deanne Donahue in recognition of the work she's done to further WAC research and scholarship and to bridge different educational systems, both nationally and, as all of you know, internationally. She's accomplished these ends with the Dartmouth Seminar, which she co-founded with Chuck Baserman in 2011, and the SEAS International Researchers Symposium, which has served as a wonderful project incubator and collaboratory. Tian's projects, workshops, and publications testify to her long and deep WAC commitment, both within and outside the US. So congratulations, Tian.
Are going to get out of here before 1:30. See, thanks, Pamela. That was great, and congratulations to the new distinguished fellows. We're now going to turn the ceremony over to Lindsay Harding, who, as you heard earlier, is doing all kinds of work and is now going to do even more. And she's going to introduce the 2023 Exemplary Program Awards.
Great, thanks, Mike. First, a really quick and brief thank you to both the 2022 and the 2023 review committees for reviewing all of the nominations. And so first, the first awards go to the emerging programs, and these are awards that celebrate programs that have been around for 1 to 5 years. The 2022 Exemplary Emerging Program Award goes to Writing Across the Curriculum at the University of Arizona, directed by Amy Mapes. Accepting this award on behalf of Amy and the University of Arizona is Emily Jo Schwaller. Okay, the 2023 Exemplary Emerging Program Award goes to Writing Across the Curriculum at Landmark College, which was founded by Sarah Glennon and John Kipp. These recipients were not able to attend, but if we could just share a brief round of applause to celebrate their award. The next awards, the Exemplary Established Programs Award, celebrates programs that have been around for 6 to 10 years. Both of these programs, the recipients are not able to be here, but it'd be great if we could celebrate the 2022 Exemplary Established Program Award winner, Salt Lake Community College's Writing Across the College program, directed by Tiffany Roskell. And the 2023 Exemplary Established Program Award goes to Fairfield University's WAC-WID Signature Element, directed by Kimberly Gunter. And last, we have our exemplary enduring programs, which celebrate programs that have been around for 11 or more years and often a lot longer. The 2022 Exemplary Enduring Program Award goes to the Roger and Joyce Howe Center for Writing Excellence, Writing Across the Curriculum program, directed by Elizabeth Wardle. And finally, the 2023 Exemplary Enduring Program Award goes to Writing Across the Curriculum at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, directed by Pamela Flash.
And one more minute before we let you go, I just want to very quickly thank Doug Hesse for his leadership this year as chair of AWAC. Doug has just been a calm and calming presence throughout the year and has done extraordinary work on behalf of this organization, which, as you all know, is still very new, to bring numerous benefits to members and to really be visionary and think about the future of this organization. And Doug has brought his expertise from all of his many leadership roles in the profession over the years. So we're very grateful, and I hope everyone will join me in thanking Doug for his leadership.
And we would be remiss if we didn't thank Ann Blakesley, who is completing a 3-year rotation through that same leadership process and has done amazing work with AWAC. I've had the opportunity to work with her at the WAC Clearinghouse as well. She seems to be a bundle of energy. We knew each other in graduate school. She was impressive then. She's even more impressive now. So I think we should thank Ann as well.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, of the award presenters, and thank you. Many congratulations to the award winners today. I just have one small program note. Vicki Troller-Burton brought to my attention that on page 56, there the time is listed at 3:30 for that program start, but it is 3 o'clock. So the afternoon sessions are 1:30 and 3 o'clock, not 3:30. So just so there's no mix up if you happen to glance at page 56 and see the wrong time. Anyway, have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you for joining us today.
Here's a brand new international. Must be nice, they retired, all I can say, Mary. Oh, yeah. You offer. Oh, I never heard what bar off. Oh.